Good morning, and welcome to this service of worship at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson. My name is Helen O'Brien, and I and Bert Meek will be your worship associates this morning as we look to the dawn of a new year. Our minister, Reverend Bethany Russell Lowe, is not in the service today, but we have a special guest minister presenting the sermon, the Dr. Reverend Sophia Betancourt. She is the president of the UUA and will be presenting the sermon on video. We are glad that you are here. Our community is striving to become as varied as the blooms of the Sonoran Desert. Whoever you are, whoever you have been, and whoever you are becoming, I invite you to bring your whole self here now. In just a few minutes, I'm going to ask you to think of and discuss with your neighbor what you will be sure to carry with you into 2024. Not yet, but in a minute, so just plant that seed. We no longer require masks here in Goddard or in our concurrent religious education services. If you're feeling sick, we ask you to join us on YouTube. And based on our last poll, UUCT members are committed to being fully vaccinated and boosted. For all of our sakes, especially those most vulnerable, let's please maintain that commitment. I extend a special welcome to visitors and invite you to fill out a guest information card that you can find in the Welcome Center in the back to your left, or in the newcomer section of the website. We will meet for social hour after the service right here in Goddard. There will be coffee, iced tea, lemonade, and some snacks, and of course, good company. If you need to use the restroom, there are two gender-inclusive bathrooms through the door to your left, down the hallway, and then the first left. Okay, so now turn to someone near you, hopefully someone you didn't have breakfast with this morning, and ask them and then let them ask you what you will be sure to carry with you into 2024. Okay. Okay, this is wonderful. I hope everyone has had a chance to discuss this with their neighbor. Okay, this is wonderful. I invite you to continue that conversation. I invite you to continue that conversation after the service. We're going to have the prelude now. The prelude is a video, and so don't be shocked. It takes a minute for the sound to start up. We have a couple videos today, and they are like that. You'll see some picture and words, and then after a minute, no, not a whole minute, but more seconds than you would think, the sound will start.
I just thought that was a nice change of pace. I like that. I like that. It's the UU Church in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Those are the players from there who are performing that. It reminded me back in the days of the pandemic when we had 20 people playing in 20 different homes and getting all woven together. So, but anyway, a little change of pace for our prelude. For the call to worship this morning, I want to read In Our Circle Again, written by Sherry Woodbury. Here we are in our circle again, a circle of vision and reflection, a forum for deciding and empowering. Here we are at the base of another bridge, another space spanning the shores from today to tomorrow, beckoning us to cross the chasm one day each time. Here we are gathered again at the cusp of the future, at the boundary that holds our community together. We are here in a circle of love and trust, brought to this moment by a series of choices and promises, by hope and gratitude, by our own shadows faced and befriended. With a servant's heart, with a leader's listening, with a parent's love that's truer than all of our inner trembling, let us model the health that we seek for all and lean into this community. Somewhere out there, all that we dream is possible. Somewhere in here, we are sowing the seeds of what will be. Blessed be.
Our chalice lighting words this morning are by Laura Wallace. Please read with me the chalice lighting. As frozen earth holds the determined seed, this sacred space holds our weariness, our worry, our laughter, and our celebration. Let us bring seed and soul into the light of thought, the warmth of community, and the hope of love. Let us see together, hear together, love together. Let us worship. So we have a hymn next, and then we'll have the story also on video. No big deal, but remember, it's going to take a little bit longer than you think, especially if you're online. It's going to feel like a long time.
Good morning. Would you please rise and, as you are able, to sing People Look East, number 226 in the gray hymnal, and the words will be projected on the screen. People look east, the time is near of the crowning of the year. Make your house fair as you are able. Trim the hearth and set the table. People look east and see today
Our story today is adapted from one of my favorite authors, Leah Lakshmi Piepzna Samarasinha, and it is called The Bridge of Flowers. Now, I need you to know that this story is told in the voice of a young girl who loves her family very much. Here we go. I am quiet and I listen a lot, and that's why I get to tell this story. So here's what happened. My mom, Soraya, is a witch. And that means that she listens to people talk and she makes potions for them out of flowers and dirt and rocks and sometimes even spit to help them with their problems. My Papa, Kamau, is a scientist, and they spend a lot of their time looking at tiny pieces of moss under lots of different microscopes. When Mom and Papa fell in love, they planted 2 trees, close enough together that they could be near each other, but far enough apart to have room to grow. So Mom cast a spell, and Papa settled down lots of fertilizer, and the 2 trees grew quickly and really, really tall. Now, Mom and Papa really love each other. They don't always love living together. Right, Soraya has a tendency to leave crystals and lipstick and bacon grease everywhere. And Papa likes clean counters so that the bacon grease doesn't end up in their experiments. They fight about this sometimes. Soraya thinks that bacon grease and crystals and lipstick are part of the magic. Papa says clean counters are magical too. So eventually, Soraya and Kamau decided to live close together, but also apart. And they built houses, tree houses, in those very same trees that they planted when they fell in love. And most importantly, between the 2 houses, they wove a bridge of flowers so you could get back and forth whenever you wanted to. That bridge had roses and sunflowers. It had little yellow flowers whose names I don't remember. It had cactuses, one of which was the parent of my own personal cactus, Agnes. You'll hear more about her later. It was a beautiful bridge, and it allowed us to go back and forth whenever we wanted to see each other. Now, my sibling Kumar, after a while, added a skateboarding ramp to the bridge. They would go to the bridge, do an ollie, land on the ramp, go around and do the whole thing again. It kept our family woven together. Me, I stay inside often, and I journal, and I'm quiet. Sometimes outside is just too much. But late at night, when the whole world is listening, I like to sit in the middle of the bridge and breathe. Now, one day, times got really stressful in the world, and Mom tried to help more and more people, and she picked more and more flowers from the bridge for her potions. And Papa, they were doing more work to try to clean the air, and they took more mosses and lichens from the bridge. They did this work to support the community, and they picked more flowers and more mosses and more lichens. And one morning, when we went outside, we saw that they had picked too much and the bridge had collapsed. Mom and Papa started fighting about whose fault it was. We just don't have time to deal with this. And they went back to work. This is something parents do sometimes when they're stressed. But Kumar and I didn't think this was okay. Some members of the community suggested that we didn't need a bridge. After all, Soraya had a ramp, Kamau had an elevator. It wasn't as if we couldn't get to each other. But Kumar and I liked the ease of back and forth. What if I left Agnes in the wrong house? What if Kumar needed their backpack? We decided something had to be done. Now, I don't always get along with my sibling, but we talked about it and we strategized and we came up with an idea. So I went to Mom's cabinet, you know, the one she doesn't lock because she trusts us? I took some of her magical honey and her special dirt and seeds, and Kumar took lichens and mosses from Papa's lab. And we came and we brought our hands together and we thought about what we most wanted. We closed our eyes and we wished for that to come back into being. When we opened our eyes, the bridge was back. But it didn't just connect our houses. It connected our houses and our libraries and the place where Soraya and Kamau go for organizing meetings. It connected us to the shelter and the food bank and all around the community. And the bridge was beautiful. So we went to wake up Soraya and Kamau to show them what we had done, but they were already awake. They were up late, working on saving the world. But they came outside with us and saw the bridge, and it was good. So it turns out that I have magic too, even though I'm quiet. Or maybe because I'm quiet, I have magic. And it's good to live with people you love and to sometimes have enough space for yourself and for growth. And the truth is that sometimes when we least know what we're doing, it's when we are at our most magical. And that is the end of our story.
Isn't that a delightful story? Okay, great. Oh, it's now the point in our service when we participate in our weekly ritual, or almost weekly ritual of joys and sorrows. Remember that all of us carry both joy and sadness within ourselves. How we feel may not be obvious at all to those around us, but our emotions are very real and very present for each and every one of us. And we all need a time and a place to honor those feelings. So this, our shared bowl, which we use for joys and sorrows, it holds the big rocks, and these signify our collective celebrations and the mournings that we all share. The big rocks are from our earth, which we know is strong, and it's more than strong enough to hold our pain and our joy, our love and our anger. And in just a minute, that bowl will also hold the smaller stones that you add that will represent your individual joys and sorrows. For me personally, I am thrilled to be back here in person. It's been 2 months that I've been away. My wife had total knee replacement surgery, and she's made really impressive gains. She no longer needs me to be as present as I was, and she's probably a little glad to have me out from underfoot. So I get to be here. For my sorrow today, I am deeply troubled when I think about the war in Palestine and Israel and how much we as a nation struggle even to talk about it. If we express our pain and anger over the killing of innocent Palestinian adults and children, if we support their wish for an independent state, we get branded anti-Semitic. If we express shock and horror over the killing and kidnapping of innocent Israeli citizens by Hamas, we can be branded as Islamophobe. It seems that we should be able to see all humans as deserving to be treated with dignity and worth, and condemn barbaric actions sadly being committed by both sides in this conflict. We who live in the desert know that water is a life-sustaining but scarce resource. Let us remember now those walking through our desert right at this minute without access to water. We pour water from this jug to represent the jugs left by our ministry partner, No More Deaths, to help those coming into our country to hopefully survive the perilous journey. To the decorations on the jug made by the children here, No More Deaths also decorates their jugs of water to show that they are a gift to those crossing the desert. Please take a moment to remember those desert people who came first to this place and whose land was stolen in successive acts of displacement and genocide. We honor the Hohokam, the Yavapai, the Tohono O'odham, the Yaqui, and we also must not forget to honor those indigenous people who no longer exist as tribal entities here in southern Arizona. For those of you who wish to share your particular joy or your sorrow today with us online, please go to menti.com and enter, yes, this code, 3961-3394. If you're here in the sanctuary and you want to send your thoughts to Menti, Brian Moon will offer his services with his handheld computer. If you're here in person and you have a joy or sorrow you wish to share, you're welcome to come up now through the middle aisle here and place a stone into the water to symbolize your joy and your sorrow. Come forward. Looks like we have one comment from Menti about thinking of relatives who struggle with COVID over this year's holidays. Helen has put a few extra stones to represent the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken. May the ripples of healing and the ripples of hope spread well beyond the confines of this bowl.
We have a prayer for hope this morning written by Kristen Green. Spirit of love and truth, help us to feel you in our breathing in and breathing out. Quiet our minds, even if only for a moment. Still our bodies, even if only for a moment. Soothe our souls in this holy moment. When uncertainty pervades, give us rest from worry. When fears rise, give us peace. When pain surfaces, give us balm. Some of our spirits are so weary. Some of our bodies feel fried. Some of our minds feel frantic and uneasy. How long will this last? We ask in desperation. Spirit of life-giving love, remind us of the circles of life so that we might turn toward the dawn, turn toward the thaw, and turn toward the rebirth of spring with new hope. Make that hope alive in us, O Holy One. Ignite that hope so it burns brighter than our fears. And may that bright hope shine for others to witness, that our faith might be a beacon and our love a lamp to light the way. O luminous Spirit, fill us with gratitude as we turn toward one another in the human family, never alone on our journeys, always reminded of a greater love that holds all. Blessed be, may it be so. Amen.
Would you sing Building Bridges with me? The words will be on the screen behind me. If you have a teal hymnal, it's 1023. We'll sing it through 3 times. It's a short song. First 2 times all together, and then I'll ask this side of the room to sing, and then this side of the room to sing, and we'll sing the last time as a round, see how that goes. And if you are at home, I will sing the first 2 times in the microphone, and then I will stop singing for the people in the space and follow along as you choose. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me with all of our voices and all of our visions? Friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building sweet harmony. Friends, one last time. Friends. Thank you.
It's time now for our offering. So however you participated in today's service, remember that our congregation depends upon your love, your time, your talents, and your financial support. For those of you here in person, the ushers will in just a minute, will be passing the collection baskets in amongst you. Those of you watching us from afar, you can send a check to our church office. You can give online at uuctucson.org/donate, or you can text that number 833-361-5796. So now let us give both freely and generously our offering, because it will sustain and strengthen our shared religious community, a community of hope, of memory, of faith, and of love. For we are the keepers of the flame, and the flame burns for justice. It burns for the dream of a beloved and a radically welcoming community. It burns for a vision of a world made whole. Thank you.
Our reading this morning is A Winter Blessing by Rebecca Ann Parker. In the shadowed quiet of winter's light, earth speaks softly of her longing, because the wild places are in tears. Come, she cries to us, kneel down here on the frosty grass and feel the prayer buried in the ground. Bend your ear to my heart and listen hard. Love this world, she whispers. Distill peace from the snow and water the cities with mercy. Weave wonder from the forest and clothe grief with beauty. Rest in the rhythm of the turning year. Trace the bending arc, rounding the curve toward justice, and vow anew to do no harm. The winter trees stand watch, haloed in the last gleams of the slanting sun. Glory sings there here, heaven echoes the call. Repeat the sounding joy. Make your life an answer. Bow, praise, rise.
My beloved housemate and chosen family, the Reverend Dr. Devorah Greenstein, has been excited about winter sowing lately. This is the practice of starting seeds outdoors in the winter months, long before most of us think about planting gardens. It's a fairly simple and practical idea. Most gardeners save plastic containers from around the house that we might otherwise recycle, and we prepare them with soil and seeds and lids so they can protect the potential that they house through the coldest months of the year. Why do we do this? Couldn't we look at beautiful pictures and seed catalogs instead and dream of all that we might plant in the spring months? I know that that has long been my personal practice. Why would we follow what for some of us are the winter holidays by tucking tiny kernels of life into unlikely spaces? I've decided to embrace this idea of setting seed long before signs of life will be visible as a type of leaning in to the new year. How many of us, like me, have gotten into a habit of disparagement at the year's turning? I remember holiday ornaments in 2020 that had language I probably shouldn't repeat in the pulpit without good cause, woven into these beautiful snowflakes. I think we still have a small plastic dumpster with flames coming out of the top as a representation of our disparagement and dismay with the year prior. I can't remember if it was 21 or 22. Politics, pandemics, and ideologies have turned what I used to associate with fireworks and other festive celebrations into a kind of creative dismissal of all that has come to pass in the prior 12 months. Don't misunderstand me. I fully embrace the power of humor that allows us to laugh our way closer to hopefulness and possibility. We need more of that. And I'm not here to censor how we keep ourselves going in difficult times. But as often happens in my life, I can hear the echoes of my grandmother's teachings when I get a little too comfortable in how I process all the things. She used to teach me about the magic at the turning of the year, and she encouraged me to do whatever thing I most want to spend my time on or have shaped the year to come, just as the clock strikes midnight on December 31st. I think this is related to that tradition of kissing a loved one right at the end of the countdown. Her encouragement reminds me that even in those most difficult years of active quarantine in the face of this ongoing pandemic, there were beautiful things to be proud of that didn't belong in the dumpster fire, for all that it made us laugh in those isolating days. A lot of that pride for me was grounded in the ways that our congregations and communities showed up for one another, showed up for the work of justice. It was grounded in my gratitude for our religious professionals, for our lay leaders and our nationals UUA staff as they pivoted and resourced and supported us through the unknown. Most are still recovering from that nonstop labor. Beloveds, we leaned into community care in profound ways, and I am so proud of how we continue to do so, even as many of us, though not all of us, experience fewer restrictions in our activities than we did then. We built magical bridges, the very kinds of connections and interdependence that we continue to live into together in new ways. Those bridges between and among us require tending, as does the religious witness that we hold together in the world in common cause. In the story that I shared for today's service, we learned about a family negotiating their relationships to one another in their day-to-day living. In The Bridge of Flowers by Leah Lakshmi Piepsna Samarasinha, she invites us to consider the beauty in how we intentionally maintain our connections to each other and invest in bringing our values to bear in the world. This unique bridge connecting people across love, across differences in how they approach everyday life, their belief systems, and community engagement still allows for the creation of beauty and magic, as beauty and science and magic weave together a path that can be navigated by everyone. It keeps them connected to their children, to their people, keeps them connected even when stress seems to rob them of their joy. I probably don't need to remind you that when times were difficult and two people who loved one another profoundly gave more than they could sustainably give to maintain and support their surrounding communities, the Bridge of Flowers collapsed. Not only did it collapse, but some outside of their nuclear family discouraged them from rebuilding the bridge. Soraya had a ramp after all, and Kamau had an elevator. It wasn't as if they could no longer reach each other with enough effort, but the love at the center of their living space was missing, and it took beauty and magic from unexpected places to reweave the interdependence that had long nurtured that family. I can imagine my grandmother telling those children to hold the seeds and the dirt and the honey and the spores together at midnight at the turning of the year. Of course, we still have time to set intentions or to weave magic for 2024, and the purposeful naming of what we most long to turn our focus toward feels important in this story. What are you most proud about from 2023? In what ways did your congregation or community encourage you to live more fully into all that you hold most precious in this past year? How did they surprise you? How did you surprise yourself? Imagine that the great potential of our liberal and liberating tradition could be nurtured through the coming months in something as simple as a reused gallon jug. Maybe there is soil in the surrounding area that is already adapted to the climate where you live, or maybe you have collected seeds from plants that have grown more savvy about their surroundings over the years. I believe that our Unitarian Universalist faith is uniquely suited to the work of justice, to showing up for the rights and freedom of all. We have everything we need to respond to these times, even in moments of devastation or fear, even when bombs fall, even when ideologies of hatred and separation are lauded around the nation. even when the bridge that holds our hopes and dreams manages somehow to fall. There is a power and a hopefulness in how each one of us can set our intentions for the coming year and not wait on sun or birdsong or better weather to do the work of new growth. Right? Earth itself can cradle our dreaming as we gear up for all that is yet to come. To put those kinds of efforts at faithful living into another kind of theological context, I want to remind us of the writings of the Reverend Kenneth Patton on the Temple of Beauty. I consider Patton one of our modern Universalist theologians whose draw to universal religion was such that he theorized the idea of a religion for one world, and he worked to bring it into being at the Charles Street Meeting House in Boston. This was Patton's commitment, the seeds he planted into the great potential of our faith. For Patton, universalism needed to be expanded. It needed to be made large enough to become an expression that included a universal humanity, universal peace, universal welfare, universal health, universal freedom, universal security, universal science and understanding. I can imagine him reweaving a bridge of flowers with these words from his 1964 book, A Religion for One World, where in trying to describe for us how we might learn to live together in community with all of humankind, he writes, "This is one world. You are one humanity. Live therefore in peace and till the garden of the earth. Make your days and the years of your children a glad time upon the earth." Patton believed that religion, when drawn beyond the bounds of any one culture, any one expression, or any one group of people, contained within it the possibility of bringing into being all that is most right in the world. So here, goodness, freedom, justice, understanding, kindness, consideration, and the dismantling of discrimination and prejudice all reach their most noble, compassionate, and complete dignity, grace, and power. It's a lot to expect from one universal tradition. But Patton believed that the potential for this possibility lay within reach, if only we could learn and find good ways to describe it and to teach ourselves how to recognize it in its echoes through human art and human culture. Now, I know that we have learned a great deal about the dangers of trying to define one big T truth that is available for all people. Right? It's not the availability that is the issue. It's the likelihood that one dominant group's perspective will be elevated as the ultimate goal to the erasure of all other cultural and communal expressions. That is not what Patton is calling for. But still we know, right, to hold ourselves accountable to the impact of power in those scenarios. But what I most want to hold on to from Patton's thinking is the very practical idea that liberals need good language and ideals to describe the things that we most long to bring into being. Our very pluralistic approach to Unitarian Universalism can make agreeing on shared language difficult, and without it, it's hard to collaborate with one another or to hold on to all that we hold dear. For Patton, the highest ideal that we can strive for in all of our efforts is beauty. I don't think he meant that in a temporary or frivolous or vain kind of a way. He writes that unlike goodness or truth, words that we often lift as ideals in our tradition, beauty includes the highest expression of our values. Right? He argues that there can be truth that is not beautiful, goodness that is not beautiful, but that beauty as its core is both truthful and good. And he reminds us that every expression of beauty born of our human interconnections serves as a kind of prophetic witness to what might best heal this world. Patton calls us to build temples of beauty. For me, those would probably take the form of gardens, and to fill them with everything that will preach our greatest ideals on our behalf. So what beauty do you most want to call into being in 2024? How are your congregations and your communities leaning into all that is most needed in this coming year? How are you helping to keep those bridges well tended? From the perspective that I am privileged to hold as the president of your Unitarian Universalist Association, I can tell you that there is already a lot to be proud of in our efforts in community. I hear from our field staff that care for each other far beyond the bounds and the limits of Unitarian Universalism remains the bedrock of this faith. I hear from our organizing strategy team again and again as they work with partner organizations around the country that they are thanked for the ways that UUs serve as the dependable core of volunteer efforts for justice in their communities. I get to witness the ways in which our national level volunteers all across our tradition give their very best to keeping the values and the ideals of Unitarian Universalism alive in the world. And sometimes I get to sit with a few of you in small groups where I'm told again and again how this faith saves lives. Beloveds, I'm not here to tell you what seeds to plant in the coming year. I can tell you some of mine. In this shared ministry and with the wisdom of so many others by my side, I am tucking the seeds of climate justice into my winter sowing this year. Alongside it go the seeds of democratic strategy, bodily autonomy, and decriminalization. With your dedicated national staff, I get to plant seeds of accountability in ministry and congregational life, seeds of leadership development, resource production, ministry with youth and families, and greater equity among our religious professionals writ large. Together, we will continue to sow seeds that protect the most vulnerable among us, and together we will UU the vote again in this coming year. The garden of my dreams is born of the great potential that I know lives at the heart of this faith, and the love that we call into being at the center of it all is more than enough to help our dreaming bear fruit. Loves, these have been challenging times, and the beauty that we bring into being together will be enough. May 2024 shower you in blessings, and may you in turn take those blessings and share them in the world. Thank you for all that you are and for all that you will yet do. May it be so. Amen. Ashe, and blessed be.
Would you please rise in body or spirit and respond in song, Fire of Commitment. It's hymn 1028 in the teal hymnal if you have one, and if you don't have one, the words will be projected on the screen beside me.
Sets our
Will you read with me The Chalice Extinguishing by Rolf Gerhardt? We extinguish this flame, a mere wisp of matter in process, almost as insubstantial as the thought of it. Yet our civilization has housed the power of such a flame to drive and shape a new world. So may it be with the power of our thoughts, that in truth and love they may drive and shape a new world.